Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So happy you're here. Well, here it is. 3 of 3 in my series. Quick, easy background cards for guys. And this is video number 3. Now, if you missed video number 1 or video number 2, I have the addresses here for the videos here on YouTube. They're in the gray font. Video 1. I go into more detail in video 1, so you might want to check that one out first. In video 2, we go a little more in depth with some harder techniques. However, I go quicker on the actual procedure, okay? So you might want to check that one out too. Now, these in the black font are my Cricut pages where you can find them already done. So if you're interested in seeing them or just nabbing something I've already done, you can always check out my pages on Cricut Design Space. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take these. I'm going to group them. And I'm going to go ahead and hide those for right now to give us more room to work on card number 3. Just like in card videos 1 and 2, I started with a piece of white. It's a rectangle. It is 4 by 5.25. I again am going to duplicate. I'm going to take the 2 of them. I'm going to align them center. And you guessed it, if you watch the other videos, I'm going to hide one of them. I'm going to turn this back into a basic cut. That way I can see these lines. All right, I have come over to images and I have already brought in a deer, some trees, and some little boot patterns here. All right, so let's make those all a little bigger. Here's our little deer. I'm going to change the color on these right off the bat. I'm going to come in and change my deer to a brown. I'm going to change my trees here, my evergreen trees. I'm going to change those to a green, I think, and I think I'd like something a little darker than that. Maybe let's come down to advanced. Let's take them clear down into this kind of green. And I'm going to take these olive green boots. I'm going to bring those in as a very, very dark brown. Even darker, because I want some variation here between my pieces. Now, just like before, I'm going to start duplicating. Take my 2 trees, duplicate those, take some of those, and duplicate again. So now I have plenty of trees to work with. I'm going to do the same thing with my boots. Again, I covered this in a lot more detail in video number 1. I'm going to do the same thing with my little deer. We're just getting lots of them to work with. I think in this particular card, I'm going to keep all of my images going the same direction. All right, I'm going to have a little change of plan here. I'm going to add one more little element to our design. Okay, I've decided that I want to change something. I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab a square right over here in shapes. Bring my square in. I'm going to chop off the bottom of these trees. I'm going to go even further with that. I'm going to do the same thing with this one in particular. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is just slice off the side of it. Okay, I will admit that took me a while to get all of those little pieces in, and as you saw, I did add to my mix. I added a rabbit, a raccoon, a cup. I think that's it. I think that's all I added. Oh, and the star. So now we're going to go cutting. Now, the only two pieces that are going to be really difficult to slice away here are going to be the cup. Because if you remember, if we go back and look at this cup, we have two layers here. So we're going to have to cut those separately. So we'll leave those to last. And I'm going to go through the rest really quickly. If you're not sure how to do this, go back to video 1. I cover it there very slowly and carefully. Here, I'm just going to race through. Here we go. I'll go through 1. We're going to come in, select just the hiking boots or the footprints with just the square, and we're going to click slice. Now we're going to go around and do every single piece that sticks off of the white rectangle, except these two cups. We'll cover those in depth. Here we go. All right, I think we've got everything. Let's go ahead and pull away the parts that we cut away. Now we're going to talk about these cups. So what we're going to do with this particular one is we're going to grab this and we're just going to move it. Okay? I'm going to right click, bring it to the front, and bring it out. And now I'm going to select this and I can slice. Now I can bring this back and I can put it back in. Let's bump this up. This gets a little difficult. That's why I saved this one for the final one. And you don't have to choose something that's 2 layers, okay? You don't have to do that. Now I'm going to bring this part of the cup away, which I'm not going to use anyway. And I'm going to bring this part away. Now, all I'm going to do is slice this away from this paper. And the way I'm going to do that, so I'm just going to come in, I'm going to make this easy on myself. Just bring a shape in, and I'm just going to cut it away. And now that's gone. And I can bring this back in and slip it right back in like so. Now this one is going to be a little trickier, but again, this time we don't need the handle. So again, I think we can handle it. No pun intended. Let's go ahead and move this off. Move it away. There we go. Let's slice this. We can move this away. Bring this back. Bring it back to the front. Stick it in. And again, I'm going to make this easy on myself. I'm going to just bring a square in. I'm going to bump it right next to this. Bring this in like so. And slice. And there we go. All right, let's back this off. Now, we want to get rid of all of our scraps. All right. And in this case, anything that's white is going to be scrap. So first of all, let's just get rid of this. I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard. And you saw this also in my video earlier in parts 1 and 2. We're just going to come in and we're going to find anything up here that says it is white. So blue, gold, 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 blue, white. We can delete. So I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard. This is white. I can delete on my keyboard. And that was the actual rectangle, okay? But that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all the white. Think we got everything that's white. Now we're going to come back and we're going to get that piece of white paper or the white rectangle. It's right here. We close the eye on it. So we're going to open that eye, left click, and there it is. And now we can sweep over everything and flatten. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this a couple of times because I spent quite a while putting this together. I don't want to do it again. All right. And you know what? I think I want one more star in here, actually coming up around here. So I'm going to unflatten this. I'm going to take this. I'm going to move it slightly this way. I'm going to take this. I'm going to duplicate it. So see, you can change this at the last minute if you want to. It can be done. Now I'm going to sweep over everything again and let's flatten. Now let's duplicate this. All right. Now I showed in video 2 how you might want to put that in a saved backgrounds place. So let's do that real quickly. We'll take one and do that. I'm going to hit a Command C on my Mac. I'm going to save this the way it is right now. I don't want to lose that. Let's go over to my stuff. This is my background prints. I'm going to click Customize. I'm going to replace this project. Just going to do a Command V. And now I have this background added. This is something we learned in video 2, so that's why video 1 isn't here. I could certainly go get that background and include it here if I wanted to. And I named this background prints. All right, we're going back to the project at hand. Before I leave though, I'm going to make sure I save. Now back to that project. All right, we're back. Here's my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. Here's my top layer, my background piece. Let's see, what do we want to do with that to start with? We could certainly just bring in a piece like this. Let's go ahead, offset. I click edit, left click, offset. Make it a little smaller. Apply. Let's change it to a nice warm brown. Bring it all to the front. Arrange, bring to front. And just slide it over into position. And there you go. There's a simple card for you. You could pop this up on top of some 3D tape. Put a little serial board behind it. That's my favorite thing. And that'll just give you some dimension off the card. You can make this as big or as small as you like. You could wrap some twine around this top layer and put a little knot on the side. There are lots of things you could do. You can also keep these two pieces separate, put this one on, and just pop this one off. So the choices are endless what you might want to do with this. You could print these separately. You could cut this out of like some corrugated cardstock board, slip it on there, and then glue this onto the top. Lots of fun things you could do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this green layer. Let's put all this together in this simple card format. If you really wanted to make it all simple, you could just stick it all right here. Take it all, center, align, center, and you're done. You could just take away the card base, flatten all this, and you're done. Glue it onto your card back, your card base, your card's done. All right, let's take another one. This is just a piece of script here. I don't necessarily want this bright red. Let's change this. Let's change it to, we can keep it red, but let's just make it a little more brown red if we can here. Maybe more like that would go more with our color scheme here. Let's go ahead and make it a little smaller. Let's move it to the front. You're thinking, well, that doesn't show up. That's not very cool. No, it's really not. But what we can do to make it cool is we can come over to the edit, offset it, bring it down just a little bit here, apply. I don't want it to cut that, so I'm going to come to my contour, left click, hide all contours, apply. I'm going to change this to maybe light gray, and I don't know, let's go about right in here. There we go. Let's do that. And then let's take this, let's offset it again. Very, very small. Let's do that one. We click apply. Let's do that one in this green. Let's take all of that, flatten it. And again, you don't have to. Let's come in with a ribbon. So in Design Space, I can't actually put a ribbon across here, but I can put a placeholder here. So let's take our die cut off. Let's get our ribbon, okay? So I'm just going to pull in a square here. Let's make it ½ inch. I'm just going to bump this up a little bit. Now I can pull this. Now I'll bump it back down again. And let's put it on the diagonal a little bit. All right, now keep in mind this is ribbon, right? So this is going to wrap right around. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about right now, I'm not going to worry about getting it exactly right here. I could, because I could slice it, right? I'll just go ahead and do it. All right, here's our ribbon now. Okay, now I'm going to bring my die cut back, move it back to the front, and just stick it right across my ribbon like this. Okay, now this might be even more fun if you had a thicker piece of ribbon, something more like this. That would really make that pop then. All right, there's card number 2. All right, let's take a look at card number 3. I have these different pieces here, and these would all sort of work the same way, but they would give it a different look. I brought this piece in because I want to show you that we can take any image and manipulate it to look the way we want it to look. All right, so here's our card base. Here's our top layer here, our background paper. Let's bring this in. Again, I'm going to bring in a square. I'm going to just take this square and put it right along the top of this. All I have to do is sweep over everything, slice, and those flowers are gone. Gone. Now you're thinking, well, okay, but what about the heart? Don't like that. Right, I don't want that heart on there either. So let's come in. I might like it if it were my hiking boots, right? I'm gonna come in and just stick this right here in the middle, because you'll notice, let's just pull a square in here. Let's turn it yellow. You'll notice that if I put this boot, bring it to the front, and pull it over, see how the yellow shows through? So we're going to have to put a background on this anyway before we turn it into our die cut. So let's just come in, let's get rid of this. Again, sweep over, slice. Now the heart's gone, and now we have the perfect hiking boot for a guy. The next thing I want to do is I want to duplicate this boot. So I'm going to duplicate right here. I'm going to come down. I'm going to take all the contours out. Hide them all. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to choose an image. I'm going to choose leather. Isn't this fun? Right? We've got this leather now. So I'm going to choose this dark leather. We'll see what that looks like. I'm just going to take this, lay this right over the top, and I'm going to slice. Now I'm going to take this image, move it back to the front, and pull it right over. Isn't that cool? Now I'm really not sure which color I want, so let's pull this leather too. Let's make it smaller. Let's bring this boot up again. We're going to go through the same thing. We're going to slice through this. Let's bring this up, move it to the front. Now you can choose the leather that you like. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate it, and then we'll have them both. You can take this, sweep over, align, center. Let's flatten it. Sweep over these, align, center, flatten. And now we can kind of decide which one we like. So we could bring this in. You know what? Let's do this. Let's pull another one of these for a minute. We're just going to pull another one of these leathers for just a minute because we might want to use that over here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a shape, square. We're going to come in, just cover the bottom here. We're going to make this 4 inches. I want to type in 4, pull this away. Let's make this, we can make it any color we like. We can make it that gold color if you like. I'm going to align it, center horizontally. I'm going to flatten. I'm going to move my boot to the front. I'm going to copy this boot. Yeah, there we go. So I have a pair of them. Now I'm going to take these boots, I'm going to make them a little smaller, like so, and just pop them in like right here. Let's grab some text, double click. Let's choose a font. And now we're going to break up this line. So we're going to come to Edit, select Ungrouping, select to Letters. Now this gets a little tricky, but not hard. We're just going to move all of this out of the way, just the leads part right here. And I'm going to group that. I'm going to pull it away. I'm going to take this, I'm going to group it, and that will keep all of that together. Now I'm going to pull all of this back into place, like so. I'm going to bring this leads back where the road leads. Scooch that down. Scooch my leads down a little bit. Make this just a smidge smaller here. And there we go. So now this will be like a banner across the card. So let's take this away. Let's take our boots away. And let's go ahead and flatten all of this. Flatten. Now we're going to move this back in. If you want, you could flatten it right onto this card, or you can glue it on separately. Same with your hiking boots. We need to move them back to the front. We can put them on separately, or you can flatten it all right here. It's up to you how you want your card to look. Go ahead, we'll bring this back. And we don't have to always use green either. We could come in and we could use a brown if you wanted to. That'd give us something a little bit different. And there's card number 3. Now again, we can play with this as much as we want. instead of putting the boots here, we could have put the backpack there. Scooch this up. Let's bring our backpack in. Let's bring this to the front. And you actually can color this backpack. Now that takes a little more doing. All right, I'm going to tell you that takes a little more doing. So I'm not going to cover that in this video. I do have a video, and I'll post it right up here about how to color images. That would get pretty intense, okay, to color this, because I would want to do this different colors. But you don't have to color it here. You could just print and cut, turn this into a die cut. Let's do it. So let's choose our size here. I'm going to let it stick off a little bit. I think that'd be kind of fun, actually. So let's make it a little bigger. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate. I'm going to hide contour. I'm going to click hide all. But you know what? I want to keep this one. So I'm going to click that one so it opens it up. I'm going to click apply. I'm going to make it white because I want to be able to color it. Right click, arrange, send to back, swipe over both, align, center, and flatten. Now I'm going to bring this one back over. This is the back, right? And I'm going to change this color to, I'm going to change it to this blue gray. That changes it, doesn't it? And I can bring this in and let this sit right here. I could also make my font bigger so that it takes up more space here. Now, I have this compass. What you could do there, this would be very simple, is just bring in a shape, a circle, center it, send the black to the back, and then you've got to make some decisions about your colors. So maybe you want your circle here to remain black, but maybe we want this piece, this kind of flaxen gold color. Let's go ahead and flatten that. Let's take this away, bring this leather piece back, move it to the front, and then this will move to the front, make it a little bit larger, and maybe you would like something like that. So this gives us several different options for our third video. I hope you picked up some ideas and this has been helpful creating backgrounds for guys' cards. You need more? Let me know what theme you're thinking and maybe I can help you out. Or if you have an idea and you've created something, leave the address in the comments below and I'll come check it out. And maybe some of our other viewers will check it out too, because I'd love to see them. I'd love to see how you were inspired by these. Comments or questions, leave those in those comments below. I'm always happy to get back to you. All right, hope you've enjoyed this series, and I'll be moving on unless you want to see a fourth one. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'll catch up with you in the next video. Bye.